Hi there. I'm here today with having a virtual cuppa with Rolf Geerlings, Regional Client Services Manager at Vision Australia. You got your cup of tea there, Rolf? Rolf's agreed to have a virtual cuppa with me to discuss some of the things that he's finding out there in the market due to COVID-19. So how's it going, Rolf?
Yeah, look, it's going very well, but it's very interesting times, and it's like every day is a different day, every hour is a different day, and it's just a matter of coming to terms with what we're facing at the moment and what we're going to be facing when we're moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, and we were just chatting then about how obviously workplaces and stuff, working from home. You've got the poster up behind you, you got your lanyard on there. Just missing the office a little bit, maybe.
I am, and I think that's what I'm finding a little bit difficult about this staying at home, if I may be able to talk about that, is that being blind, like I am, I'm very people orientated, and I like people around me, and I like, from the moment I travel to go to work, I get up at 4 a.m. and go onto the train and see all my train buddies, which are all the tradies going to work at that hour of the morning, and having a friendship with them. Then going into the office and actually talking to some of my staff face to face. I miss that. And when you're isolated in a home, and on top of that, you can't see, like I just can't simply go and jump in the car and drive down to the street and go to the shops and do all my shopping. So I've basically been a prisoner inside my own home for the last 6 weeks, and heaven forbid, left with my own thoughts sometimes, and that's a pretty scary thing to think about.
Yeah. Well, okay, I suppose that leads into one of my questions. I mean, how is this, I suppose, focus on the the blind and low vision community? How is COVID-19 specifically impacting people within that community?
Yeah, look, that is my community, and the impact it has is and you might find it very strange for a person who is blind to say this, we miss people. Because we can't see people, but what we do is we feed off people's vibe, and we feel off people's spirit and all sorts of things. So we pick up their joy. We pick up what they're going through, and when that is taken away, it's a lonely old life, because we really simply can't turn on a TV or watch a movie. We can listen to it, so we're pretty much isolated. And I'm starting to talk to some of our clients, which are elderly and they're in nursing homes. And I had one dear old lady say to me, she's 95, she's in a nursing home, and she was absolutely in tears because she feels like she's in prison. She's trapped in her little room, and she doesn't see anybody, and she can't go out anywhere because of the environment at the moment. And she just sort of like is really doing it tough, because she's used to visits, she's used to people coming to see her, family, and all sorts of things. And when that's been taken away from her, she really is doing it really hard. And that's a lot of our clients are as well.
Yeah. So I imagine that the social distancing has got some pretty unique challenges as well.
Oh, well, they talk about, I'm laughing, but it's not a funny laugh. It's a laughing of really a little bit how sometimes governments and people don't take everybody in the community, with a disability, like a blind. If I went to the shops, how do I know 1.5 metres in front of me that there's somebody else, and all the rest of it? So social distancing for somebody who is visually impaired is virtually impossible. And then we go into other disabilities as well. Some people, with other disabilities find it tough to social distance as well, So it's all right if you're a sighted person, and we live in a very visual world. And when that is taken away, some of these things that are in place are a little bit difficult, and they're a challenge.
Yeah. The broader world of people with physical disabilities, have they been represented well enough, you think, in sort of business and government considerations of COVID-19?
I don't think so. I know my organisation, and I'm not putting a plug about my organisation, but we do an absolutely amazing job to make sure all our clients are safe and that we're doing the best that we can to inform. But somebody with a disability outside what I know, no, they're not. You know, you're throwing out all of these things, and you can go there and okay, they did a couple of weeks ago, you know, I think Coles and Woolworths were saying, well, they're going to have special hours in the morning to go down and shop, and they're for people that, you know, may be vulnerable or have a disability. But that was from 7 to 8 in the morning, and some of our clients and some of our people with a disability, that's almost impossible to get down the shops at those times. So although they're thinking about it, I think they're only doing it surface. I don't think they're really delving into, you know, okay, what specific needs do somebody has somebody got with a disability? What do they need, and how can they cope from this?
Yeah. Well, what about in the business world? And obviously that's sort of access to services and retail, etc. What about in the workplace? I mean, how is this? I mean, when we were chatting the other day, you mentioned a statistic that 50% of people who are blind or have low vision are unemployed. Is that?
That's correct, and you know, it's about 48-50%, and that's huge, you know, and that is one of the major things, and not only people that are blind, but anybody with a disability in that 18 to 65 bracket find it absolutely desperate to get work, because it's not necessarily that people don't want to put a person on with a disability, is that they haven't been educated on how it's all going to work. It's almost been put in the too hard basket. And I can tell you that some of the jobs I've gone through for, as soon as you walk in to the interview of a big black dog, because I have a seeing eye dog named Stella, it's sort of like they don't, oh, well, what are we going to do here? How are we going to monitor? How are we going to manage this? Is this going to be a legal thing down the line if he doesn't work out? You know, how are we going to put, and you can feel all that in the first interview. They're putting all the negatives up front before actually talking to you, and you can feel it, and you know it happens, and it happens a lot.
Yeah. I mean, how has COVID-19, obviously it's tough for anyone to get work at the moment. I mean, there's not, the number of vacancies or advertised vacancies has plummeted by over 50%. I mean, what about people with disabilities in the workplace already? How is this impacting them, and is it in terms of their ability to continue working? Is it
very, very difficult. You know, like I had to come home, and I'm lucky I work in a blindness organisation, so I was able to set myself up through help from our IT department to be able to do Zoom meetings, to be able to do everything that I can do here. I know some of the other people that I've spoken to, you know, haven't had that ability to be able to set themselves up at home with the right equipment to be able to still function, and they're sort of like being put on a bit of the back burner from work from their employers, you know. So it's very difficult, and it's not like we're ever going to be the same again. And from what I can read and from what I can do, from what research that I'm doing, nobody knows what the new normal is going to be, you know, post this. And certainly things are going to change big time on the way in which we do things. And this is why one of the things that interests me about doing this virtual tea break with you is to try and start putting the spotlight on people with disabilities, because we're going to need a bigger voice, I think, post-COVID, if we'll ever be free of this thing, you know, in some form or another. And, you know, we've got to be talking to our people that have disabilities that, yeah, you can do things, but we just got to do it a bit differently, you know, and how we did do things before. Yeah. And then it's all a part about educating some of our employers that it's all right to take a risk on somebody with a disability. They'll probably get somebody that's going to be a lot more productive and also a lot more loyal.
I mean, I think that one of the things that I'm interested to see through this is, you know, I think that there could be a lot of, obviously there'll be a lot of negatives, but a lot of positives that come out of this for people with physical disabilities in that you know, historically businesses have sort of said, oh, look, we can't offer flexibility, we can't let people work from their own homes where they have all these, you know, facilities they need, etc. And I don't think anyone's ever going to be able to say to someone, we can't give you flexibility ever again. I don't think that's a statement any business is ever going to be able to make with a straight face. I mean, the whole world went flexible with 2 days' notice. So someone who's very capable but needs to work from home where they have the facilities they need will be able to do so. Or people who need to, you know, a bit more flexibility around time they can work will be able to do so. So I'm quite hopeful there'll be quite some interesting things come out of this.
Oh, look, I think you're 100% correct there. That a lot of able-bodied people, as I like to call, you know, my colleagues and people that, you know, we all know, have almost been forced into having a disability because they can't go out, they can't go to the shops, they can't do all the things that they're used to doing. So I think a lot of people will be getting an understanding, hey, what it's like to have a disability, even though they haven't got one. And then post this, they're going to be more likely, I think, a big positive is going to say, hey, yeah, well, I had to make do. This person's lived with this all their life or whenever they got it. I'm going to give them a chance. So there is a lot of possibilities and a lot of positive, I think, will come out of it if we all think that way instead of get caught up in the doom and gloom of it all, because that's also can be a big problem with us. When I say us, I mean everybody, you know, to get caught up with the things that we can't do. Yeah.
Well, I went to see a talk. I can't remember his name, a guy from Vision Australia a few years back, and he was saying that the word disability is more a system thing. You know, if disability is you can't drive a car. So if you have a self-driving car, it's no longer a disability. I mean, it's quite often it is. So I think that how quickly businesses have adopted flexible working technology, I think that's been a huge leap forward in removing some of those barriers, I think, to people being able to work.
I think you're 100% correct there. You know, and I never I haven't got a disability. I just have to do things a little bit different than you do, and then what the next person does. You know, and I think we're so quick to label, or we have been in the past, so quick to label somebody, oh, they're blind, they can't do this, or they got cerebral palsy, they're in a wheelchair, or whatever that disability might be. It's only a disability for the person looking on. It's not a disability for the person that's got it, because we work around ways of means to do things as normal as possible. It's just that we do it a little bit different. And I think that's going to be one of the bigger points that's going to come out of all of this, that people, I think, are going to understand. And it's going to be people like yourself and others that are going to be the champions, so to speak, to get the word out there that, you know, hey, why don't you give this person a crack? And I think disability is a label that we should be not using anymore. Yeah.
If someone is out there and they're running a business, running a team, and they have people in the team with physical disabilities, in this current crisis, maybe it's a bit sort of beyond, well, what can I do to help? What are those low-hanging fruit that a business or a business owner or manager can be applying now to sort of help out people within their team?
Yeah, and it's going to sound so simple, but it's communication and keeping in contact with that staff member or all their staff members that are at home. But I can tell you firsthand that even in good times, even when before this virus started, somebody with like myself or has a disability, so to speak, we have our good days, we have our bad days. And just to have my boss, and my boss does it to me, he's a sighted boss, my CEO, Ron, he often just, you know, checks in on me to see how I'm going and to talk frank. And I feel comfortable, to be honest with him, and saying, Ron, I'm having a really lousy day today because of everything. And I think those managers, those people with businesses, those people that are in charge, they should sort of, like, as you call it, the low-hanging fruit, they should pick out who are the most vulnerable of their staff, and they might not have a disability. They might have just lost a loved one, or they might be doing it a bit tough in other regions. reach out and talk, and not just once or twice, but constantly have that contact. And it's been helpful for me to have not only Ron, my boss, but my staff, because I'm a manager of a team of about 15. They'll constantly ring me to see how I'm going, where I should be ringing them, but it's all about reaching out and being honest, and not just reading a script either. Like you and I have, we're not scripting, we're just talking like two mates, and that's what a boss has got to try and do, is to sort of like really show the person that is doing it a bit tough that they care, and that they're there, and that will mean an awful lot to somebody. I know every time I get a phone call from one of my staff members or from one of the leadership team, I feel 10 feet tall and bulletproof, because I know they genuinely care about me. I'm not just a number. I'm not just somebody that is bringing you money or whatever, that I am actually a human. So that's something that other employers or bosses or managers or people in charge, if they listen to this, they can do this even post this virus. They can do it, just constantly do it, because we do have our bad days regardless.
Yeah, I think that regardless of whether, disability or not, I think that one of the things I've seen through this crisis is it's really brought to the fore good managers and bad managers, and bad managers have reverted. They don't know how to have tough conversations. It's a bit beyond their understanding. So they reverted to emails and sort of factual, dictatorial type management. Whereas the stronger leaders, those with empathy and people with, everyone's got their own battles in this crisis. People with loads of kids, people with financial difficulties, people who, living in somewhere that they're isolated, somewhere they don't really want to be. All those sorts of situations. And you see good managers coming out, talking to their people, communicating, making them feel as safe as they can, letting them know that they've got an avenue to talk. And I'm hoping that coming out of this, that those stronger managers will continue, what they've learned through this.
Yeah, and that's very important, because I know some of my team are doing it a little bit tough themselves. They haven't got a disability, but they're a husband and wife, both working from home. They've got their kids 5 and 8, both at home, trying to negotiate schooling and all the rest of it, and trying to work side by side by your partner,
I know
which
that
is not
one very well. That's been my day to day.
And it's not easy. And then you got kids saying, well, why can't I go out down the street and play, or why can't I do this, or why can't I go to school, and all the rest of it. So, and then you've got the financial pressure that are all of a sudden staying at home. I'm okay, but I know some of my staff, all of it, they're even though they can't go anywhere, they're spending more because they got to do things at home. They've got to try and keep the kids entertained and all sorts of things, and it's putting a financial strain on people. And then on top of that, worried about their jobs. What's going to happen? Can this go on forever? So to answer your question, I hope all people that have got people under them in leadership or managers or whatever will realise what they've gone through, what their staff have gone through, and out of this, in the end, as you say, become better managers. You mentioned emails. You can't be emotional. You can't send an email to somebody and see what they're really feeling. It's just so cold, But pick a phone call up and say, "Hey, mate, how you going?" Or to somebody, "How's everything going?" And knowing a little bit about those people, I think a lot of strong leaders are going to be born out of this crisis. I really do. Yeah. I really do feel that the cream is going to float to the top, and you're going to see a lot of people stepping up because they've learnt firsthand what it's like. They haven't learned it out of a textbook. They haven't learned it about a university lecture. They've actually learnt it firsthand because they're being it. You just mentioned it. You're home with the kids, trying to deal with everything that you're dealing with, trying to conduct not you, but I've been in meetings and all of a sudden an 8-year-old will pop up or a 3-year-old will pop up on the screen and start talking.
That's definitely the new norm now, isn't it?
It is, But I think those people that really take notice of how they feel, we're going to have some amazing leaders out of all of this, and some of our younger people are going to remember this time, and they're going to be in the future really strong leaders because they're going to use this and use it to their advantage.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I hope it's. I hope you're right there. I mean, I know you obviously got back-to-back Zoom meetings today, or pretty much run for so I won't keep you time. But what does the other side look like to you when you're sort of, sat there having a glass of wine, thinking about the future? What does the other side of this look like to you? What do you think the world's going to be like coming out of this?
I'm going to sound like I don't know what I'm going to sound like when you ask that question, but I just hope out of this crisis that we can all become a little bit more caring of one another, of one another's needs. Whether you're the CEO or the Prime Minister, or you're the train driver, or you're the tradie that digs the ditches, that we're all a little bit more caring about one another. Because what it really has shown me is that I've seen people that I thought couldn't care less about others really step up and really show their caring side. I keep mentioning my CEO, I know, but in this whole crisis, he has just come to light to a lot of us, a lot of the staff members are thinking, well, I didn't know he had it in him, because he stepped up. So I hope post that we're a little bit more smarter, we care about one another, and we also care about our older population a little bit more than what we do, because, sitting in a nursing home thinking that you're like I said earlier, thinking that you're in a jail is no life to anybody that's lived their whole life, Is it going to be different? My word, we're never going to be the same again. But I think, and you can quote me on this, and everybody out there, you can quote me, I think we're going to be a lot better off. I think we're going to learn a lot of lessons. Of course, there are going to be those people that haven't learned to think, but there are going to be a lot of us and a lot of people in positions of power that are going to learn a great deal.
Yeah.
So the future's looking bright. To answer your question, I believe if we use this, what we're going through at the moment, it's not doom and gloom.
Brilliant. I think that's a really inspiring point to finish on there, Rolf. So thank you very much, Rolf Geerlings, Regional Client Service Manager from Vision Australia. Thanks for having a virtual cuppa with me, Rolf. Yeah,
cheers, my friend. And thank you for reaching out, and thank you for all those that may be listening or may listen to this. You are the future, and you can make a difference in somebody else's life.
Indeed. Thanks, Rolf.
Thanks, mate. Take care.